Hello and welcome to the very first episode of PowerOn podcast. It's not the first recorded episode, but it is the first that will be posted. I am Dashing Drew Rude, also known as Andrew Rudiger. I'm getting looks right now from my co-host because he doesn't like my nicknames, but I don't care. I'm 28 years old and I'm not afraid to use my nicknames. And my co-host is...
And I am Chad Novinka. I've known this man since 1999, and I've never called him Dashing Drew Rude.
It's new.
It's new. New to him, new to me.
Well, like we said in the intro, we want to cover Resident Evil. I think we said it in the intro. Maybe not. I don't know.
Who knows?
This kind of shows you how unorganized we are. We are just starting.
It's going to be off
stuff.
the cuff.
Yeah. We want it to be off the cuff. We want it to be from the heart. But yeah, we want to cover Resident Evil today. The reason is it's kind of our own personal origin story. It's why it's a part of the reason why we started doing a podcast. And it's, I don't want to say it's had the biggest, but it's one of the games that's had the biggest impacts on me as a gamer. It really got me into it when I was younger. Do you want to tell them how we met, Chad?
Didn't we do that in the intro?
Huh?
I think we did that in the intro.
Oh, okay, then we did. Well, it was about Resident Evil anyway, so that's why we're talking about it.
I had a book of it by S.D. Pears, the novelization. I had never really played the game until about we just met. And it was a beaten up old book that I let Andrew borrow, and it got beaten up even more.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and said, "Hey, Resident Evil?" And I said, "Hey, Resident Evil?"
And then that
since.
was it. Yeah.
Been friends ever since.
Yep. So we want to give a little bit of an overview of the series first. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's been around since 1996.
Developed by Capcom.
Yeah, developed by Capcom. I think the last one, which was... I've got a list here of the games. There's 25 of them, so it's quite a hefty list. The last one that I personally remember was Resident Evil 6 that came out in 2012, but they've had Revelations 2, Umbrella Corps, and they're getting ready to make a remake of Resident Evil 2. So they're pretty current, but they've kind of changed their setup, which we're real salty about, and we're going to get into later.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
We've had more history with the old type survival horror games, so that's what we want to kind of cover today. Which is really what it's 1 through, was it 3?
Well, 1, 2, 3, Code Veronica.
Veronica, I keep forgetting Veronica.
Code Veronica came up before 3.
Did
so
it?
3 is actually officially 4.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Well, technically 4.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
The Dreamcast screws me up. I think that's what it is.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So what we want to do here is kind of, it's old. You know, the game's over 20, or it's 20 years old. What, in March? What was the day?
March 22nd, 1996, and today is Saturday, March 26, 2016. So 20 years this week it was.
Brand new, 20 years old. So if you haven't played it by now, we really want you to do that. And I would do the remake version of it because we're going to spoil the hell out of the game.
Particularly if you've never played it. The remake's just a better game. You'll enjoy it a hell of a lot more.
Yeah. We're going to go over both of them, the original and the remake. But the remake we both feel is like how the game should have been.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what you should play. But again, we're going to spoil the hell out of it. So go play that now. Pause this. Go buy it on the PlayStation Network or whatever Xbox. I don't know what Xbox has now. Xbox Live, and play it. I don't even know if it's available.
Live or something. I don't know.
Yeah. You can get it anywhere. You can get it on the computer. You can get it
PS3,
anywhere.
PS4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, PC, Mac.
Right.
I don't know if it's a Mac. Probably not.
Probably not. I don't know why they would. Hey, let's put that old game from 1996 on the Mac. We'll see if anybody downloads it. No. But anyway, we actually just played it a little bit. Well, I'd say like 5 minutes of it. We've played it so many times it would be redundant to do it again. But the main reason we did was because of the intro. And if you do nothing else, right? Let's say you never play this game, you don't care, whatever. You have to watch this intro because everybody on the planet's going to think it's funny.
Which one would you suggest? The uncut, colorized version that it can be found on YouTube, or the terrible director's cut PlayStation 1 version that we just watched, which is still in black and white and edited? And
you have to do, I think, the color uncut because The one that they have in the director's cut version is...
Well, it's not edited. It's still edited. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, it's edited. It's not the original. It is
like
the
some violence that they cut out. Characters smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, it's the biggest steaming pile of shit you're ever going to see. That's the only way I could say it. And there's one particular reason why you have to watch it in color, because they have an actor who's playing one of the characters named Wesker, and he's got blonde hair in the video, but it cannot be his natural hair color.
No,
right?
It looks like straw.
I'll tell you what it looks like. You ever been to those little pop-up Halloween stores, right, that come up around October and they're like in the mall?
Every
or what
year.
have you? Yeah. Do you know those little cans of spray that they tell you is hair dye? It looks like they took about 15 of those and blasted it on this guy's head so that they would have somebody who matched their character design. But it's a live action video. It's meant to bring you into the game, and it did in '96. But I'm looking at it now, and it's just horrible. And this is the original, by the way. This isn't the remake. The remake's all done in CG, and it's actually decent. And
Not bad.
It achieves what they're trying to do. '96 kind of fails.
No, 96. We're talking the height of everyone's obsession with like full motion video games.
Yeah.
There was systems that was dedicated to it where they would just go on and say, look at this great graphics, amazing fucking graphics. And it's a goddamn movie, and you're not even doing anything. Just maybe pushing a button, maybe going, oh, look over there. Oh, you're dead. Game over, restart. And you watch the same fucking FMV video a million times.
And then when they advertise the game in the magazines, they would put a picture of the video.
Oh, it was always the video.
it would never,
the game.
It would never be the gameplay. It's always
On
the
the
video.
back of the case, it was always it's like from the FMV.
It's like a bait and switch. And anyway, the game is great. The purpose of it is you've got a company called Umbrella, right? That is supposed to be.
You don't really know that at the beginning of the game.
Don't they talk about it in the
intro video?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they.
I think there's a bear like on the newspaper, and but they don't really talk about Umbrella like that in the first game so much.
Okay, well we'll do it. We'll do it the way that they did it in the game.
Yeah.
So, but basically, people are getting murdered, right?
In the town
mauled.
of Raccoon City,
Yeah.
in some Rocky Mountain town.
I always thought it was Colorado. I don't know why. I'm just sticking to it. It's in Colorado.
I've always thought Pacific Northwest. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just a place that's got mountains and trees and that kind of thing surrounding it. And people are just getting torn to pieces on these hiking trails, which to me would lead you to believe you wouldn't go hiking anymore. But I guess people kept going. So there's been
Grizzly murders in Raccoon City Forest.
Yeah, grizzly murders. Okay. So they have scraps of human beings that they're finding on these trails. So they send...
Well, the city organizes a special tactics and rescue service.
Yeah,
named STARS.
Yeah. Two teams, by
Alpha
the way.
and Bravo.
So Bravo disappears, and nobody knows what happened. So that's when they send
On
A.
investigation one July night in 1998.
And they literally say it to you in the intro video. That corny too. Yeah. I don't know if they're trying to scare us or if somebody like popped in a VHS and like watched half of one like a horror movie and tried to emulate it. But that's what it feels like. Yeah. So they go out there. They go looking in the dead of night. By the way, because of course, if you got murders in the woods, you're going to do it at like midnight, right?
Yeah.
That's when you investigate.
Yeah.
So they go up there, they're looking around, and they get ambushed by something that you don't see what it is.
It's obviously a dog's face. It's some type of mutated, rotting corpse dog face.
Yeah, that in 96 is a hand puppet. I've now confirmed that. I watched a video on YouTube like a week ago. I saw them making it. It is a hand puppet. But they go into the woods, they get chased by these dogs, and then they get basically chased into a mansion, which
their helicopter pilot leaves them.
Yeah, that's important. He does take off because you would think, well, why the hell aren't they just leaving? Their helicopter pilot is a notorious bitch. He's got the nickname Chicken Heart in the game, right?
Chicken Heart Vickers.
Yeah. So he's the guy flying the plane, or the pilot, or the helicopter, excuse me. He takes off. He's out of there. So they have to go somewhere. They got dogs running around in the cornfield. It's like Jurassic Park 2 with the raptors in the cornfield. They don't know where they're going.
Yeah, very similar.
Yeah, and they have a panic attack. The marksman Chris Redfield, who we'll talk about later, drops his damn gun, which again I recently discovered, and they run into this house, and they're stuck. They don't know what's going on. Everybody's lost, and depending on who you pick in the game, that's where your story starts.
But before the game begins, there's a second little video after this intro cinematic where they introduce the characters. And it's just explosions on the screen. The cast! Yeah. And they've got this cheesy little song playing. Now, in the director's cut version that we just were playing through for about 5 minutes, they changed the music to this jazz experimental that... what did you say it sounded like?
It sounds like, let's say if you ever walked in, you're going into you're going to watch the London Philharmonic, right? This sounds like you showed up to the show 6 hours early and everybody's tuning their instruments. It's the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. That's literally what it sounds like.
Literally.
It's garbage.
It's bad.
And the other one is like, let me think here. The other one would be like an intro, I would say, to a tough guy 1990s cop trio movie or something.
Starring Sylvester Stallone
and Dolph Lundgren too.
Dolph Lundgren, yes,
it's gotta be in there.
He's in there too.
Anyway, it's bad. So, and I really don't want you to think we don't like the game. It's
by today's standards, it's cheesy.
Yeah. The 96 one is real bad, and that's what we're referencing to. Do you want to get into the characters? You want to do that now?
Yeah, so the first character they introduced in the screen is Chris Redfield. And in the original uncut Japanese version of the video, he's seen smoking a cigarette. But through the 1996 Americanized version, I'm sure there were some moms against violent video games. I'm sure Tipper Gore had something to do with it. They edit it, but instead of like having a new video, it's just him staring at the screen. This actor playing Chris, and they superimpose.
Oh, excuse me.
Very quick. You okay? All right, you're good. Very quick segments from the opening cinematic that you just fucking watched in front of Chris Redfield to make his serial killer stare look less imposing, I suppose. How do you feel about that?
It looks like in 96 to smoke a cigarette in a video would be too risque.
Even in a mature rated game at this time.
Where you're, by the way, where you're
at this time.
Yeah, and you're blowing zombies' heads off. You're seeing guts fly all over the place, but apparently smoking a cigarette was just too much. So he's initially trying to look like a cool guy smoking the cigarette, and then, like he said, they edit it out, and it's just him giving a really weird stare.
It looks like he's kind of pissed they edited out smoking. Like the actor knew. He was like, "You did what? We did that for 50 takes. Like, I was smoking that thing really good."
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah.
But then they like plaster, like you said, a video of what you just saw on top of it. It's really awkward. Again, you're going to see all this in the intro video when you watch it, because you have to now. I can't believe that you're not going to be interested in seeing this at this point. So yeah, that's how that goes. Chris Redfield is the male. He's the male lead, right?
Character.
Yeah. And then
male player character that you can choose from.
Yeah, and then you have who?
Jill Valentine, who's just seen in her little beret, cocking back the slide of her handgun, ready to do battle. She's the other player character. She's mainly more the easy mode of the game, while Chris would be hard. She has less item slots, a little bit faster, easier access to more powerful weaponry. Hers is fine. Then they go on to Barry Burton.
Oh, Barry.
Oh, Barry. Barry Burton.
We'll have to get into that man later. That man is the guy on this team that you, honest to God, would want to be with.
He is.
He's like, what, 250 something?
6 foot something.
6'3", huge guy.
Bear of a man.
Yeah, bear of a man. Maybe that's why they named him Barry. I don't know.
He's bear of a man. He's Barry Burton.
Yeah. He's got a magnum, right? So he's got the powerful weapon. He's probably in 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah, he's
why?
Really not in it.
It's like a question. Where the hell is he?
Well, he's more in Jill's mode. Is he even in Chris's mode? Do you ever see him in the original?
Nope. There's reasons for it. I think he's
just supposed to be dead.
Well, if you listen to Wesker's report, which is the next character we're going to talk about, he says he's got a hold over him. So I think depending on whose story you play, he'd either like threaten his family to have him.
But I think in canon...
Oh, in canon, I have no idea.
He's still alive.
Yeah, because he was in Gaiden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think Gaiden's canon anymore.
Did they really take that
retro.
out?
Yeah, I think Revelations 2, one of the most recent games that just came out last February of 2015, I believe. Barry Burton is a playable character in that.
Okay, finally. So then, it's confirmed. Well, hello, he's in 3.
He is in 3.
Yeah,
we will
so he's
talk
okay.
about that later.
They don't really tell you what happens because I really feel like they went into this thing half cocked and they didn't.
They really did.
Yeah,
the story wasn't a big issue at that time, '96 in games.
Yeah,
we're talking about very early PlayStation game. It wasn't a launch title, was it?
For what?
No, but it came out within the launch year.
No, it wasn't a launch title. It couldn't have been.
PS1 came out in 95, right?
Yeah, I thought
came out within the launch year, though. We're talking March 96?
Yeah, close enough. That's close enough. To finish off the cast, you've got Rebecca Chambers, who's like an 18-year-old medical student, I guess.
Prodigy, I guess.
Yeah, she's super, super smart, and you find that out later on.
And you're wondering, why the hell is she on this backwoods towns, like special forces...
It's like she was going to medical school and got denied the first year maybe, so she decided to be a cop and then got screwed into this situation. Yeah. And then
there's Albert Wesker,
the most endearing character of the game to me.
He's a real rat bastard.
He's the biggest bastard you're ever going to meet in the entire series. He hangs around forever, and I think the allure that he has in this game is you really don't know what his motives are. He's the captain of the team, for one, of this team they send in.
Wears his sunglasses the entire time he's inside this dark mansion at night.
Really strange guy. But you don't get to see him. You see him in the beginning of the game, and then he disappears. You see him at the end, but other than that, he's gone. So it's like a weird... Wait, he did show up once in the backyard. Remember in that second house or something? He's shooting bees.
You're right.
Yeah. So he's there for a little bit, and then he's out of there.
Shooting bees. What an asshole.
That's probably what he was doing. Just wasted ammo. So we'll explain what we mean by that later on. So that's your basic cast of characters, and now they're in this house.
There's some auxiliary characters. The Bravo team, Force Bear, Kenneth, something or other.
The Bravo team.
They're basically all dead. Yeah. They're either dead or you see them die.
They were the first team that went missing, that the Alpha team went out to investigate. And that kind of shows you how shitty the RPD is.
And Rebecca Chambers is the only surviving member, really. By the end of the game, she's the only surviving member of Bravo team.
You know what my favorite part is, though, and I'm thinking about it?
What?
You send a SWAT team out to an area to investigate some kind of problem. They don't report back. So what the Raccoon City Police Department does is send another team. They did. I'll send another one.
With no backup.
Well, what happens if Alpha went down? You got another one? What are you going to do? You're going to keep sending them out there till everybody's dead? Like, what the hell? I just thought about that. But yeah, so now they're in this house, and they've got to...
the mansion, the Spencer Estate is what it's called.
Yeah, the Spencer Estate. And it's going to be something that comes back a lot throughout the series, I think. They talk about it. At least mention it. Yeah. They call it the Mansion Incident.
Yes.
It's supposed to be like the first big event of the series.
Yeah.
So that's where you start off. Do you want to talk about, before we go deeper into the story, do you want to talk about like the way the game looked, the graphics, whatnot?
Yeah, let's paint a picture for the people.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, there's basically two layers. There's the polygonal characters, the 3D, very much like what you'd see in a modern video game. And then there's the background, which is a 2D static, pre-rendered CGI background. And the way the game kind of works is, sounds weird, but when your character walks around on the screen, the camera changes and the view changes, and it's a new pre-rendered background. And they shrink your character and expand your character through the programming to show you the illusion of the character's walking towards the camera, away from the camera, so on.
To give you...
it's multi-camera. It's like a film. Instead of like a video game in 2016 where it's almost all over the shoulder, third-person shooter, this gave you views of you couldn't see in front of you. You couldn't see behind you. You would walk into a new room, and the camera would be facing you, and you would hear a shuffling off it, or a heavy breathing, or the drip of blood, or maybe a leaky faucet off in the distance. You didn't know what you were walking into every time you walked into a room. So it gave this, at least the backgrounds, the polygon 3D models of the characters kind of look like shit now. But even still to this day, 20 years later, the backgrounds are just gorgeous. And yes, they're a little barren and kind of like light on textures now. But it still holds up. You know, we were playing it through the PlayStation 3, the director's cut of Resident Evil 1, on an HD TV. You know, I'd shrink the screen and put the smoothing on. I didn't really have a problem with it. I could have played through it.
I think the way it looks, at least the way I've always thought about it, it's like you're walking around in a picture, if that makes sense. So it looks like something that's, by pre-rendered, it looks great. It doesn't look like something that's dynamic.
If you ever played Donkey Kong Country on Super Nintendo,
there you go.
Also pre-rendered style graphics.
So the graphics, I mean, they're not great, but you have to remember in 96, I believe this is the first time you actually, well, it's not maybe the first, it's one of the first, you get to see people or characters that have like forearms and biceps, and they've got thighs and calves, and they're not looking like Lego men from Final Fantasy VII.
No, 7 even came out about a year later, too.
Which is terrible when you think about it. So,
well, it had those beautiful pre-rendered backgrounds.
Yeah, it had the pre-renders too, but the character models look better.
Very popular style in the mid-90s in video games.
Yeah. I think the place that the game falls the shortest with, though, which is probably the next wisest area to get into, is the gameplay. I don't want to say gameplay. I'd say controls.
Controls.
Yeah, they're archaic.
Once you get used to the controls, though, it's what gives the charm of the game.
It's true. Because it to explain what we're talking about, I think you said it best earlier in a previous conversation we had.
I want to say it again.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, your basic controller, you know, you've got your face buttons and you've got your directional buttons, up, down, left, right. Up pushes you forward, down makes you walk backwards in a slow, steady movement. Left and right is what pivots your character. There was no quick turn in this, so if you wanted to make a circle and you're not holding the run button, you were talking like 5 seconds to make a full turnaround.
Think about that for a second. To turn around your character, it's like 3 to 5 seconds.
You don't just get to hold the down button and you just turn around.
Which made it scary, because if something's coming at you and you run out of ammo or whatever, you have to move or you're going to get bit. And I don't think we even really talked about it. We did mention this was a zombie game, right?
No,
we didn't.
It really is. Yeah, it's definitely a throwback to I would say more like the 70s and 80s B-movie zombie films. Of course, George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead is obvious influence on it. But and it's kind of one of the first times
in recent years. You mean, right?
What?
Were you going to say that they were actually bringing up zombies, and like it was, because I think from Day of the Dead to Resident Evil, there really wasn't much going on.
You're right. From the end of the 80s to Resident Evil, the first game, there's kind of like a lull in the zombie film.
And interest
at all. And there really still wasn't much interest until the first Resident Evil film came out.
Yeah.
Even though it's a piece of garbage.
Sorry, Paul.
Mortal Kombat is great. I love it. I'd love to have you on the show and talk about Mortal Kombat all day.
Yeah.
Nobody really cared. And then that, and then Zack Snyder's remake of Dawn of the Dead. Yeah. And then it just started going crazy after that. Then within the recent past 5 years, we're talking now about 6 years, Walking Dead.
Robert Kirkman's Walking Dead
thing.
Yeah, so now it kind of exploded, and I like to think it exploded off of the Resident Evil popularity.
Yeah, I think it did. Even though I talked to a lot of people, and they all tell me they never even beat the game, they barely even got to the first save, but people played the hell out of that game.
Yeah, there's a reason for it, though. It wasn't easy.
It wasn't easy. It gave you a good, moderate challenge.
Yeah. The save system I'd like to mention.
You're like, okay.
Yeah, I really, really like talking about it. I don't know why. I like the design, but I think, because you have to remember, Go ahead.
Before we talk about that, I'd like to talk about like how you play the game in general. You basically walk from room to room, and there may be a zombie in there. There may not. There may not be anything. You may just hear the click clock of a clock, and it's puzzles. It's a puzzle game. It's conserve your ammunition, your firearms, conserve your health, which come in the form of different herbs and first aid sprays. And you move around, and you have to take a puzzle piece from one side of the mansion to another side. But you only have, with Chris, 6 item slots, and with Jill, I think 8.
Yeah, she had 2 more.
She had 2 more. And each item you pick up in the game takes up an item slot. So you can only hold 6 things at once. And if you come upon an item that you need, and your item slots are full, you're not going to be able to pick it up. There's just nothing you can do about it. You couldn't drop your item. There was nothing you could do at that time. Except there are save rooms. And these are safe havens away from the ghoulies and the creepers around this mansion. And it would, you'd know when you got to a safe room before you even saw the saving mechanic or the item mechanic, the magic box. The music would change from the creepy, atmospheric, haunting music within the mansion. It became almost like a lullaby. It was a soothing tone, and you knew you were safe in those rooms. And that was such a great thing when you would be running from a creature that you couldn't kill. You didn't have a right weapon with you, and you run into a room, and then doon, doon,
it's like this peaceful music. Yeah,
beautiful. And so then there was the item boxes in there, and this is like a magic item box, and every save room basically connects to this item box, and that's where you can put your spare items to help you manage your small item selection. And then there was a save feature in the game. That would you like to talk about?
Yeah. So it's essentially a typewriter, which is
even archaic by 1996 standards.
Yeah. It's kind of weird that it was a typewriter, but it was, and it functioned the same way as the item box, where no matter what typewriter you went to, you could still save your game. Right. Mm-hmm. Here's where it gets complicated. If you want to save your game on these typewriters, you didn't just have to find the typewriter. You had to find the ink ribbons to write on the typewriter.
And these were an item that would take up an item slot.
Yeah. That is inventory. Ridiculous to save your game. I remember times.
There was a limited finite number of times you could save your game.
Oh, yeah. There was only a certain amount of ink ribbons in the game, and if you ran out, you're screwed. Good job. You screwed yourself. And I think it's an exercise in... what's the word I'm looking for? It's an exercise in teaching you how to
conservation
manage, finite resources.
Yeah, it's a part of the puzzle mechanic of the game. The game is just a giant puzzle when you look at it through the game mechanics.
It wasn't just like that with ink ribbons. It was like that with ammunition, health, everything. You could get poisoned by some. They didn't just have zombies in this thing. They had giant spiders because. Later on, you find out that there's a company basically manipulating the genetics of people and animals to create bioweapons for the government. That's basically where we're leading. And you could get poisoned, and if you used all the blue herbs, which would take care of that poison, you're fucked.
You get poisoned again, you're going to die. There's pretty much no way you could beat the game at that point. It was still a time when games would do that. Now we like talk. There's games like Witcher and whatnot where they offer permadeath to your character, and you really have to restart your character. This was kind of before that, and
dude, this is before autosave.
This is before autosave.
That's the big.
You needed a memory card. First of all, not only did you need the ink ribbon in the game, you physically needed a thing called a memory card to plug into your PlayStation, and that's so. Crazy that
I still have mine
anymore.
I still got one.
I'm sure it's got Resident Evil saves on it right now.
Yeah,
you can see it right there. I mean, you can see it. From where we're sitting.
Yeah, that is what made the game unique to me, was the survival aspect of it. I don't think it may or may not have. I'd have to do some hard research, and I'm not going to say something stupid, but it may or may not have pioneered the survival horror franchise or genre. Excuse me.
I think it definitely made it explode.
Yeah, it was one of the figureheads. Let's put it that way. If there was a Mount Rushmore of survival horror games, Resident Evil is going to be on there twice.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's basically how the game functioned. Mm-hmm. I think we got everything, didn't we? Is there anything we're forgetting?
The basic mechanics of the gameplay. Yeah. I'm trying to think. item management. I mean,
you covered everything pretty good. The save room kind of takes care of everything. You're basically trying to survive and not die
and get
figure
to
out
the next save room.
Yeah, and it kind of aligns your interest with the character's interest, which sometimes I think games have a bad or don't do that very well.
There's no sense of urgency.
Well, what I mean by that is this: like, I might be playing a game and I have to go save somebody, right? Oh, you got to go save Crystal. And it's like, well, fuck Crystal. Like, I mean, who is that? Like, I don't care about. Like, they'll give you objectives you don't care about, and then it kind of disconnects you from the experience,
from the character.
Yeah. So if you're playing a survival game, your whole point is to live, and you
feel
know,
like that character.
Yeah, you feel like you want to get this guy through this thing or this girl through this thing. So that's why you're doing it.
When you take damage in this game in Resident Evil, you limp. You slow down, and your character bleeds, and they'll die.
Yeah. You have to have some serious balls to walk around in this place, too.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is they were very, very good at creating a creepy atmosphere.
The tension that they would build.
The music is huge for me.
Empty rooms that you return to later that are not empty.
Yeah.
We should mention that it's not a linear game. Like, you don't go from point A to point B to point C. There's a mansion hub world. You move all around the mansion for a couple hours, finding keys to get your way out of the mansion. You leave the mansion, you come back to the mansion, you go to the laboratory, you come back. There's a lot you can do.
There's an element of open world to it, essentially. There's places that are locked off, but that's part of the puzzle gameplay. Yeah. You can't get through there. You have to figure out how to open up certain doors. So they make you explore in a place that no normal human being would want to explore, if you put it that way. Because you don't ever know what's around the corner.
Yeah.
And that scares the shit out of me. It still scares the shit out of me. Even though, I mean, now I've played it so many times, you know where everything is.
Played the HD remake and stuff that they put on the PlayStation 4 and whatnot, and it's still like, it's high tension.
Yeah.
It's a palm sweater. That's definitely a palm sweater.
Yeah, they have insane music in the game, and what I mean by that is you could drop it in the middle of a TV show or a movie today and it would work. Like, it wouldn't you wouldn't even know that they recorded it 20 years ago.
That's true, especially I can't think of a lot of games that were coming out right then that had that type of orchestral sound to it.
Yeah, it sounded like an orchestra. It wasn't electronic. It didn't sound produced. It sounded like an orchestra sitting there trying to scare the shit out of you.
Yeah.
That's really what it sounded like. A lot of slow violins, that kind of thing. So they created a great atmosphere. So then, with the characters, do you want to go deeper into the story where they have to go? Because we just got them into the house.
With the characters?
Yeah, like where you end up in the story. There's really no midpoint. The midpoint is essentially running around the house, unlocking doors. They reveal the story through writings and
files.
Files and stuff. Which I want you to think about this.
we didn't talk about that.
Yeah, I was probably 10 or 12 years old, maybe. I don't know. That's a shot in the dark. Yeah, when I first played it, right?
Between 10 and 12.
Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Time. But
my chair's squeaking. So
yeah. This is grassroots. This is grassroots podcasting. We got squeaking chairs, coughing. We'll get better, we promise. Anyway, they would put files all over the house, right? And you'd have to read these things to kind of figure out what's going on. Like, why the hell are there a bunch of zombies walking around in the house? Why are there crazy, mutilated dogs running around? And it's all diaries of employees who used to work at this place. Yeah. Turns out it was a cover for a research facility for Umbrella, which was a pharmaceutical company that we mentioned earlier. They're the ones who are manufacturing what you find out to be a virus that is causing all these problems.
Known as the T virus.
Yeah, and they had... I can't remember, and I should have looked it up, but I can't remember, and maybe you guys can email us later if you know, if it was intentional or if it was an accident.
I always felt like it was an accident. And it was like a blessing in disguise to Umbrella Corporation.
Yeah, I subscribe to that as well, because I think that I don't think you would wipe out. Why would you why would you cause a problem that's going to draw attention to you? I can't imagine that. So that's what happens. There's some sort of outbreak. These guys are working on bioweapons for this company so they can make millions of dollars and wax their speedboats.
A lot of the guys who are exposed to the
virus?
To the virus. I think they say it as a chemical leak or something.
Yeah, they don't know what's going on.
Those are the people that basically become zombies. Their skin starts to rot off. There's there's various files of them talking about how they're starting to lose senses and they're getting hungry and itchy. And
and it really freaks you out reading that stuff. At least it freaked me out because it was
you don't know the first time.
It's like, what the hell is going on here? And you never really know. There's a particular scene in the game, and I know you know this, and everybody who's played it knows, probably even knows what I'm about to say, that scared the hell out of everybody that played it. I don't care what you tell me.
Was it itchy tasty?
No. Well, that too, but I'm talking about in terms of
the dog hallway.
Yeah, the dog hallway. You're walking down this hall, and everything's pre-rendered again, so you get used to that. You get used to that semi-safety where you know something's not going to come busting through a door.
Because it's this... You can obviously painstakingly done graphical painting.
Yeah.
They're not like... It's like watching an old cartoon where you knew what door is going to open because it's a different shade than the background.
Right. Exactly. It's perfect. Yeah. So you sort of kind of knew. I say it that way because they mix it up a little bit. But you knew if something was going to surprise you or not. Or at least you thought you did. Yeah. So you're walking down this hall.
And this is a hall that you've gone through like 3 or 4 times by this point.
That's the key, too. They did that on purpose.
Yeah. You've already backtracked through this hallway between segments of the mansion.
Trying to unlock stuff and whatnot.
Yeah.
So you've been through here. You've got that feeling of safety in this room, and then they have these motherfucking dogs,
the same dogs
that chased you outside, jump through the windows in the room. It scared the shit out of me so bad, dude. So bad that I screamed, not yelled, I screamed.
Like a little girl.
Yeah. And then I hit the power button on my system. And I don't know how long I was in the game. I might have been playing it for 2 hours. I don't know. But it scared me that bad. They did that well. Mm-hmm. They did the atmosphere well. And this is both versions. 96 was good, but the 2002 remake took it to an outrageous level.
Yeah.
Because they just, the graphical updates, all kinds of stuff. So in terms of an atmosphere, it's fantastic, right?
It's like your favorite horror movie.
Yeah.
That
it's
you
like
can
playing
watch
in a horror
over
movie,
and over, and every time it gives you the creeps and it gives you the chills. It's very, very well done.
So to move the story along, they as in the team, and you, if you're playing with Jill or Chris.
Well, they find like a back door, and to escape the mansion, because that's basically all they're trying to do.
Yeah, they're trying to get out.
This mansion,
right.
But wait, why don't they go through the front door? You ask. Well, they put that into the game. You walk up to the front door and you try to leave. One of the dogs comes at you, and you close the door, and then it gives you a message. It's too dangerous to go out that way.
Yeah, so they won't let you just walk out. You got to find a different way.
Back door that is locked with some puzzle pieces, something with sun and moon, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, oh, you're finally out of the mansion. And one of the puzzle pieces to get out the back door brings you to the first boss, which I believe you would like to mention. You find one of the Bravo team members, Richard something or other, and he's all bit up, and he's like,
"Oh God,
I need some poison. I'm dying." So then,
is that how he sounds?
Because he's so annoying. I hate this part, and every time I play the game, it's the most annoying part to me. Because they usually, if you found Rebecca at this point, if you're Chris. You find Rebecca Chambers in a save room. She doses you with some bug spray, and she kind of shows up throughout your story mode. If you're Jill, Barry shows up throughout your story mode. But if you're Chris, which I always play through because it's the harder way to play the game, it's more fun. You momentarily take control of Rebecca, and she has one magazine of ammo and one health spray, and you've got to run from one end of the mansion to the other to get a serum that was on some shelf and bring it all the way back. And you know what happens when you do? The guy fucking dies anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. They make you go through this hard, trials and tribulations to get the serum. You get it, you're happy, and then he dies.
He's fucking dead.
But the first boss you run into
is someone who had damaged this man, Richard.
He's
go into the attic.
See, you see it in an attic. Now think about this.
Yeah.
I just thought about it. It almost looked like an animal cage. So it makes you wonder, did they had to have known about it because they're the ones who caused it in the first place. They're messing with their genetics.
Uh-huh.
Was that thing's...
That's why they locked the door.
Was that thing's house? Was that his cage? That little... It looks like a barn in the middle. To me, it always looked like a barn. I was like, why the fuck is there a barn in the middle of a mansion? Yeah. And then I'm sitting here thinking, oh my God... Like, I just thought about it now. Like,
Well,
that creeps me out.
It shows up later, too, the snake.
Yeah. It's a giant ass snake. And we're talking like twice the size of like the Anaconda movie. Like,
oh my God.
Thick and huge. And you hadn't seen anything like this until now. So you're sitting here fighting zombies. Like, oh, this thing's
Zombies.
hard.
Crows. You'd seen some murderous crows.
Crows, dogs. But you haven't seen something like this big.
Yeah, this is
so you knew
an enemy that fills up the screen.
You knew it was going down.
And its body is so long that it actually obstructs you from escaping from it.
Yeah. So you can't leave, and now you're screwed. You're sitting in a barn with a giant snake, and it's scary as hell. And it's particularly scary with the graphical update in the remake because it's got like saliva dripping from its face.
Yeah, it's a great little video.
Oh, it's horrible. And then you just saw this guy die this horrible death
from being bit by the snake.
Getting bit by the snake, and you're like, shit. That's the only thing I could think.
Yeah.
So that's one of the bosses they have in the game, or at least the first one.
Basically, you just grab the puzzle piece and leave the boss fight. It's not even really
puzzle
a boss
piece.
fight.
I forgot.
You don't even actually have to
there.
fight it. As long if you can get the puzzle piece and get out fast enough, you're good. If it bites you, you actually faint and then you wake up in the save room. If you're Jill.
Now here's the question, and I want you guys to answer it for us if you can, or if you know. Who is that, Barry or is that Wesker? Because it looks like Wesker. I remember looking at it, and he's got the darker clothes. Barry's got this really bright red vest that he wears. And I always thought, because he's like Jill's friend throughout her campaign. He's always there. He's helping you out. Wesker's nowhere to be seen. So
Wesker's in full black.
Yeah, he's in all black. So who the fuck is that supposed to be? That's the question. I don't know. Maybe you guys can tell us. We have an email. I'm going to just drop this here real quick. At PowerOnPod, P-O-D, at gmail.com. And I spelt that out for you. It's not PowerOnPod, P-O-D, but PowerOnPod at gmail.com. So please send us an email if you think you know who that is, or you do know. I don't know if they ever fleshed that out. But I'm curious. That's always bothered me.
And I think I misspoke earlier. I don't believe that. I think Rebecca, you don't take control of Rebecca when Richard is first infected.
It depends.
I think it's if you're Chris and you get bit, and then you take control. Rebecca shows up. She's like, Chris, let me help you. But if you don't find Rebecca before you get to that snake, you die.
If you get
bit, you're dead.
I didn't know that.
Because there's nobody there to get the serum for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sucks. See, that's another trap.
Yeah. And
that's crazy.
It's crazy. So then you get the last puzzle piece to leave the mansion, and it brings you into a shed. And then the shed brings you into a courtyard. And the courtyard is full of it's like this weird elevator puzzle mechanic. And you have to use a wench to lower a waterfall, blah, blah, blah. And there's snakes falling, and blah. And then it basically goes into,
Lab.
I guess, no, the guardhouse.
Yeah,
there's this little like cabin behind the mansion. And I suppose it's supposed to be I think it's the residency for some of the lab
It had to be,
workers.
because it had like a game room with a pool table and all that. I remember that. That's where they have the giant spiders.
Yep.
Which are horrible.
No, they're just giant.
They're horrible. I don't like spiders.
When you kill them, their bodies exploded with their babies, and there would be a little, at least like 20 little babies running around, and you had to step on them, and those things could they kill you?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think they could, but I think they could poison you.
Maybe.
There's a lot of, like, when you first get into this guardhouse, there's blue herbs right there letting you know that you're going to get poisoned.
You're about
and
to get
it's pretty interesting. When you get in there, there's a lot of overgrown plant life, and then there's like plant tentacles coming out of the walls that attack you, and you have to do some puzzles to avoid that. But you basically are trying to find the other way out of the mansion. This is what you're doing still. Reading files, and the files will tell you, oh, there's a hidden lab somewhere behind the waterfall. Oh, how do I get to the waterfall? Oh, I have to get another wench and a battery for an elevator, so I can go up one elevator and drain the waterfall and blah, blah, blah. It's a whole lot of runaround.
From the character's perspective, it's essentially a slow reveal that this company that apparently is worldwide, or at least nationwide, has been up to no good the entire time. Umbrella is creating bioweapons. They're not creating stuff to put on the Rite Aid shelves. They're creating stuff to kill people.
Yeah.
And you're just finding this out right now from investigating what was going on in the woods.
Yeah.
Here's the worst part, and I really got to talk about this because it's my favorite part. The man who sent you in here, or who you went in with, Wesker.
You're captain. You're captain of your
your
team.
leader, the guy you're supposed to
captain of the
trust,
Stars team. He's your alpha team leader.
is an Umbrella scientist.
Yeah.
Which sounds stupid, and I thought he's got to be a well-rounded man, right?
Yeah.
He's obviously smart enough to become the head of a SWAT team in the police, in the police force. He's a damn scientist. What can't he do?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, he screws you over. He's sent there to collect combat data. They knew this was going down. Umbrella knew this was happening. At least we think so.
He was definitely in touch with them.
Yeah. He
knew the mansion. He'd worked at the mansion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still not revealed yet.
You find that out from that picture.
From the picture.
So, like we talked about, you're looking through files and slides all the time. Well, you pick up one slide and you're flipping through it, and it's like, oh, here's a list of the Umbrella team that worked on.
And it just
such
says
and such.
A. Wesker.
Yeah, and it says A. Wesker, and then there's a picture of him standing there.
Let's not get to the photo yet. The photo's still in the lab. Let's get we'll wait. And it's after you fight the boss in the guardhouse, I believe. There's
Enrico tells you that's how you know there's a traitor. Remember?
Yeah, but that's not until the tunnels. But still, it's the guardhouse. So then there's the guardhouse. There's Plant 42. It's this giant plant hanging from like this conference room. But to get past that, you think that's where the exit is. But to get past that, you find a little hidden passageway that goes to the basement, which goes to a giant room full of water where there's a giant shark in there, a mutated zombie shark, and you have to drain the water and kill him, which is a puzzle. And then you have to create a chemical to kill the roots of the plant that's soaking up the water from this area.
It's basically your worst fucking nightmare times 10. Times 10. You've got sharks running around, you've got spiders, you've got plants, you've got all kinds of crazy shit. And it's clearly some kind of scientific experiment that went the wrong way. That's what you're dealing with when you go through pretty much the entire game. It's always, what released scientific monstrosity am I going to run into now I'm going to have to deal with because it got out of control.
And a big part of the fun is reading the laboratory notes of the scientists as they study these accidental creatures that they created. Yeah. It's kind of interesting because this was none of these creatures. A lot of them were not the zombies, the zombie dogs, the crows, the plant. God, I guess the shark must have been. They weren't
supposed to happen.
They weren't supposed to happen. It was just after the T-virus leaks, it kind of just starts mutating shit. And it's just like scientists, when accidents happen, they go, let me get my notepad. We've just done some fucked up shit. We've killed a bunch of people. Let me get my notepad.
Well, this is an opportunity. It's not an accident.
Exactly.
It's like, okay.
So, true scientist sees the thing.
I felt a little salt in that statement, though.
Yeah, sometimes.
But so you've got all kinds of stuff going on, and you find out, in the course of finding all these things, you find out that Wesker fucked you, basically. And
at this time, he's still like, oh, hey, we need to head back to the mansion. So then after you kill Plant 42, you go back to the fucking mansion, you fight the snake, you get something. But one of the best creatures is introduced when you head back into the mansion. You right when you first enter it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the hunters.
Yeah, the hunters. There's a little intro video where it shows it through this new creature's eyes, and he's hunting you.
Which is horrific, by the way.
Because it's opening the doors that you just...
Oh, God,
that's what it is. It's opening doors.
Yeah, which has not happened up until now.
And it's basically like a frog man with giant talons on its hands.
We'll put a picture up it on the blog so you can see it.
Yeah.
But it's a creepy-looking little monster.
Yeah.
That's the best
thing. It's like an overgrown gremlin.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
It looks like a giant gremlin that's like maybe 4 foot tall, whatever. Yeah. But these things would decapitate you.
In one hit. If you were standing at the wrong angle, and you didn't even have to be damaged at all. You could be at full fine health. Because there's one thing we didn't mention is with your health in the game, your damage hit points, which decides if you live or die, is a EKG in your item menu.
Start menu, yeah.
In your start menu that says fine, caution, danger. Usually when you're in danger, 1 to 2 more hits you're
Even
dead.
That has an element of
puzzle to it.
Of horror, I would say, because you don't know how much health. You don't know how many times you can get hit.
And there was 2 different colors to caution. There was the yellow
and the red.
And then there was the orange before it gets the danger red.
Oh yeah,
and then if you're poisoned, you don't know what you're you don't know if you're fine. It just says
blue.
Yeah, well, it's just purple. No, it's that purple spike.
Purple,
and it just says poison. So you don't know if you're fine or at caution or danger, because you still will be at those things. And with fine, you walk normally, you can run normally. Caution, you step a little slower. But with danger, it is like somebody has
it's like somebody took
shoved the spear of destiny into your side. You are done for, buddy.
You clearly look like you're having some problems. Yeah. It's almost like half of your body is hanging and you're dragging it. That's how they look when they're walking. It was terrible. Yeah, so you have to watch out. I'd say pretty damn carefully, or you're going to get killed real quick. And then if you combine that with your save system, and you haven't saved in an X amount of time, it's over.
You're dead.
Yeah,
you don't have health near you, and you can't get past that hunter, and you've just re-entered the mansion.
You know what I like about the hunters, though?
What?
It's like an organic way of increasing the difficulty of the game.
Yeah.
So instead of like doing something real obvious, like making them
giving the zombies guns,
doing something stupid, they throw some creepy ass thing at you.
That's hard to kill.
It's hard to kill and can kill you in one shot.
Yeah.
And they jump, like remember,
jump halfway across the
screen.
They'll
jump like 20 feet in the air and then come down and cut your head off. And you're sitting here used to these meandering,
these slow
shuffling is the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
Shuffling zombies that move like slower than Walking Dead, right?
George A. Romero, Living Dead style zombies.
It's almost like insultingly slow.
Yeah.
Now you've got something basically jumping off the walls at you like fucking Vega in Street Fighter. Like, you don't know how to get around it.
Exactly.
So now that they've done that, then you can finally head to the end.
Now you can head into the laboratory.
Right, the laboratory. The laboratory is essentially the end of the game, where they've been doing all this crazy stuff, and you have to...
where the zombies actually get easier when you get to the zombie enemies, because they're like super dusty and they're easy to kill.
Yeah.
Which is kind of neat.
But they still had hunters and stuff running around.
They did, because you got to go to the catacombs first. And I believe you have an interesting story about the catacombs and...
Oh, God, dude. Like, I try to block it out of my mind. I really do. And I only thought I'd talk about this when we talked about the podcast, because it really pisses me the hell off. Like, if I think about it, even to this day, it pisses me off. I was off. Oh, shit, I wasn't off. I didn't have a job.
You didn't have a job? Yeah, you were 11?
I showed you how much I'm working now. I'm sitting there.
Was there a time
It doesn't matter.
Work?
Saturdays were sacred. Yeah. Saturdays are sacred. So we're talking...
Serial cartoons, video games.
Yeah. So I got up at
You're lucky, and you live in America.
Yeah. God, that's such a privileged thing to say. It's like, this is what you do on Saturday.
We are very lucky.
Yeah. So 9 a.m. I'm sitting there. I woke up. Sorry. I decided to play Resident Evil, right? Of course, because that's just what I always do. I'm bored if I can pop in Resident Evil, so I'm playing it. And then 1 hour goes by, 2 hours go by. And I was a lazy kid. My mom's bringing me my cereal and my milk and all this shit. So I don't. Yeah. So anyway, so I'm not doing anything. I'm laying there playing this game.
Oh my God.
No, the whole point is no reason to get up. So it's like a one shot thing. I'm just rolling through it, right?
Yeah, so I get to gotta do, right?
Exactly. So I get to these catacombs, right? And they have a point where. And I always say they Indiana Jones style chase you with a boulder. Just out of nowhere, a boulder drops to the ground, and you still have these crappy tank-like controls that you have to control your character
very
with.
unresponsive.
Yeah, to get through. And I got crushed because I was screwing around. I don't know what I was doing. I have no idea.
Well, it's hard to get into those alcoves sometimes.
I really don't.
There's two little alcoves that you can dodge into when this boulder's coming towards you. And if you don't hit them, you get crushed and you die.
Well, I would see, but I never really, when I did these little playthroughs, I didn't really get that far into it. I always would just stay in the mansion, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we're talking like before we even really had a steady internet connection.
Yeah.
To if you didn't have a strategy guide
that brings you to why the fuck, like, I don't understand. I don't know what I was doing that made me not pay attention to that, because the internet wasn't that big. You had to like dial up to get on. I didn't have a phone. What the fuck was I doing?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why. For some reason I just couldn't react to it. And it's not like, it's not insanely fast. You can get out of the way.
No, it's slow, but it startles you.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it before.
I got flustered, I guess, and then it ran me over. Cool. Let me just go ahead and load up my save game and we'll just roll from there. I didn't save my game
at all.
So it said game over.
I mean, that's easily 3 hours into the game too.
Yeah. Oh, easy.
And we're talking back then, early playthroughs. We're talking maybe even 5 hours.
Yeah, maybe 4 or 5. game over. So I clicked okay, and then it brought me to the fucking start screen. And then, like, the worst feeling I think I've had up until that time just washed over me, where I said, oh my God.
Yeah.
I just lost my whole game.
I just wasted 5 hours of my life.
Oh, I was salty as a bitch, dude. I'm still mad about it. That's why I don't want to talk about it. It's
playing this
so
stupid
ridiculous.
game. I could have been outside running around.
And if it was made today, right? Let's take Resident Evil 6 as an example. If it was made today, big deal. The game autosaves every 10 seconds or whatever, and
you're just
and
going to have
good.
to do a button mash, play quick time event.
That's my catacomb story. I love the fucking catacombs.
The catacombs.
That's when they first find out there's a traitor, because they run into a surviving member of Bravo team, and he starts to tell you that somebody's screwing you over, but then bam, he gets shot, and you don't get to see who did it.
Yeah.
So then you're like,
there's
oh,
a
God.
traitor in the...
It's not that long after that you read that file, though. So it's not a huge
because then
mystery.
you get to the lab, and
you see the slideshow
you
with
see
Wesker.
a slideshow in a conference room.
And the best part is you never would have known it was Wesker.
Except for the sunglasses.
Except for the sunglasses. He's wearing his damn sunglasses
in the
lab.
In the science
picture.
like party lab photo.
Yeah. And those of you who know Resident Evil lore, this was before he was like
they made
altered.
they retconned.
So
like
he's just the jackass who's just wearing sunglasses.
He's just some asshole in sunglasses.
He's the guy.
He's 80s villain. Like,
he's the guy that rear ends you at 8 p.m. and the cops pull him out of the car and he's got his shades on.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't see you there.
I didn't see it. Well, maybe if you take the fucking glasses off. Yeah. But yeah, that's Wesker in a nutshell. It's just a complete asshole.
Yeah.
So now you know that he screwed you over. You get deeper into the lab, and then you find him eventually. You find Wesker, the big bastard. And this is my favorite part of the game. And we talked about this in an earlier.
When he reveals himself.
When he reveals what he's going to do.
Yeah.
So it would be cool enough to say, okay, he's a bad guy, right? He's working for Umbrella.
Uh-huh.
And then that's it.
Yeah.
They take it a step further with this guy and say he's not only screwing you, he's screwing Umbrella too.
Yeah. Because
they've got some kind of ultimate super soldier that's like a...
Well, it's a great way to bring in the final boss of the game.
Yeah.
Like, let me show you the final boss.
Yeah.
And he takes you into a room full of test tubes.
Oh, yeah. He reveals to you that they've got this soldier, that Umbrella's got this soldier, and there's a bunch of test tubes.
Well, and
all
it's the
over
real reason for the T-virus. Like, all the zombie stuff is accidental. They were using this virus to what? I think it was just help genetically modify. It was like a...
Yeah, they're trying to essentially find the right genetic code
gene slicer
to make a super soldier, a superhuman, right? And you later find out he was pretty much perfect, this superhuman... They call it a tyrant. He's like an 8-foot tall Arnold Schwarzenegger in 1978. Right?
Naked, his heart is on his
diesel. He looks like, if you play Street
chest.
Fighter, he looks just like Seth, if you've seen Seth.
Oh, yeah. Street Fighter 4, right?
4, yeah. He looks just like Seth. He's this huge guy, but he's got his heart on the outside of his body, so he looks like a prototype, and he was a prototype. Wesker's going to jack this. He's going to jack it from Umbrella. He's going to steal it, right? That's what he wanted to do.
I think he was going to steal it.
I don't know. I don't know. But you know what though? But think about it though. He was a scientist though.
Yeah.
He worked down there. He might have been in that. He might have been in the program.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe he did know what was going on. Who knows?
Yeah.
But that's his great plan. But the funniest part of the game is he lets the motherfucker out of the.
Well, because he's going to kill you. He's like, I'm going to let you die by releasing him.
Yeah. So he lets this thing out of the cage, and he's like, "Go get her, go get him." Whoever it is, Chris.
No,
Jill.
is that what happens? Isn't?
Yeah.
Does he just say like it's a shame to kill him, and then he kills him, or and then he drains the
to be honest, the last time I played the game was probably 5 years ago.
Yeah.
The '96 game.
Yeah.
So I don't really remember the exact words.
And the last
but
time I played it was the HD remake.
I'll say this: it was something to the effect of. Go get him.
Basically.
Right? He's trying to give the thing an order.
To the side.
Oh, it looks to the left and it sticks his damn hand right through his gut.
Yeah.
Just
and Wesker's laying there.
Throws him like a piece of
blood.
throws him like a piece of trash on the ground, and that's the end of Wesker, or so you think.
Well,
right?
then you fight the boss, which is a very hard boss. You can't get out of the room.
How does that get outside though?
Which is crazy because you don't know what's going to happen too. Like you don't know that you're about to fight this really hard boss, and if you don't have like your best weapon on you,
that's a good point.
You're dead.
They do, for the way we talked about it with the magic box and all that. All your stuff's in there, so if you didn't bring your best stuff, they kind of do just throw you. It's not obvious that you're going in here.
No,
they throw you into a boss battle.
you finally get a key to the elevator. You go down the elevator, and automatically it's a cinematic. Wesker's there. He brings you into the room.
And then it's on. And then it's on. And you can't get out.
You're like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Oh, fuck. So you fight you've killed the tyrant, and the tyrant just like rolls over and like craps its pants.
You need to mention. Well,
then Wesker's gone.
Oh yeah,
that's the best part. It's like after you were in the fight, like you didn't see the door was inaccessible. You couldn't run through,
and he was obviously a trash pile.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is he was destroyed. Like he
is laying there, and it gives you like you click on it, and it just says, "Oh, done him by his own deed" or something. And then if you go back in the room, he's missing. But
yeah. Fact of the matter is, Wesker
he was fucking dead.
Yeah, he does die, but you find out later on in the series that he's injected himself with some kind of virus,
which I still think
that resurrects him. It is ridiculous, but anyway, he comes back and he's gone.
It would have been just like a great thing to see this man's
owned just by being an asshole,
just being an asshole.
Yeah. But it doesn't happen, and he ends up being like one of the main.
Well, they figure he's the one who sets the self-destruct.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because the self-destruct.
He does that in Chronicles, doesn't he?
I think so.
Umbrella Chronicles?
Well, it's in the novel, too.
Okay,
it's in S.C. Perry's novel.
He essentially self-destructs the mansion, so the whole fucking place is going to blow up. And this tyrant, I think it gets back up, right? Chases you outside? Isn't that what happens?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I want you to talk about what you did last time in our first recording, which we threw in the garbage because it was garbage. But you mentioned how difficult it was to kill him, though. I think that's a very important point. All the ammunition that it took.
Oh, well, so that you fight the tyrant the first time in the lab, and then you run away, and then the self-destruct sequence starts, and you're like, oh, Wesker, blah, blah, blah. And then you have to, I don't know, there's some boiler room puzzle that's annoying, and there's the chimera enemies, which can be really annoying. They come through the vents. But you escape into the helipad, and then miraculously your stupid helicopter pilot's like, hey, I'm running out of gas. Do you guys need some help? Like, oh, thanks, Brad. You run out into the helicopter pad, and Brad's about to land, and then all of a sudden, the ground breaks apart, and the tyrant comes back through.
That's what it is.
And you know what's funny is, like, we're talking about a certain way to play the game. It is possible to, like, get to that part of the game with the tyrant not breaking through the ground. Like, you just end the game. There's all sorts of weird little twists and, like, A, B, C, D endings to the game.
Yeah.
And so you got to fight the tyrant there, and it takes a lot of fucking ammo. Like, you better have saved up your magnum rounds, because I'm good at saving my ammo in that game. And when you get to the end, you're using all that magnum until they throw you the rocket launcher. Because you can't kill it without the rocket launcher.
The magnum was the most powerful weapon in the game.
Yeah.
So he's basically telling you that you had to use pretty much
30,
half of the ammunition
there's probably
that's
about,
available.
I would say 30 to 50 magnum rounds in the entire game. You're using probably 20.
That's a lot, dude.
If that's all you're, because that's all you're using. You don't want to use the other weapons. The other weapons are slow.
That's if you found the magnum, because that was optional.
It's if you find the magnum.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff like ifs, like what weapons you have, whatever. You can screw yourself fast.
Yeah.
You could roll into
You
that.
don't pick up the shotgun.
Yeah, you could roll into that fight with a fucking handgun and get destroyed.
I mean, because just getting the shotgun is an optional puzzle.
Yeah, everything in that game in terms of your items is basically optional.
Yeah.
Minus the story-driven puzzle pieces.
But you can play through the entire game with just the knife.
If somebody's done that, I want to see it. I'm sure there's a YouTube video.
I don't want to see that. I feel, I feel like I'm a very good Resident Evil player, and I just like if I ever actually. I remember hearing about that. You remember before the internet and YouTube, we would read about that in the magazine, like knife flew through play with 3 hours. If you can beat the game in 3 hours only using the knife, you get an infinite rocket launcher. I'm just like, how the fuck am I? What do you need the infinite rocket launcher for if you're gonna play through the game that quickly with only the knife?
Game Shark codes, bro.
Game Shark codes, bro.
that's the way you go. You get that infinite ammo rocket launcher.
Oh yeah, when you're a kid and like sometimes those games are hard. You don't have the dexterity or just even the time as a child. Your mother telling you to turn those goddamn games off and get outside.
That'd be my mom.
Yeah, you need that. Well, that's a sign of a good parent, you know.
Yeah, I know. I'm glad she did. But then, I'm glad I got to play these games, though.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what... Like, it really gave me... That game gave me I'm struggling to think about how I want to describe this. It gave me a...
Is it outlet?
No, I'm talking about the inventory management. It gave me a very solid base on how I should play other games. Let's put it that way. So when I get health...
Well, it's made other games a million times easier for me.
Right. Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So I know, like, I conserve my ammunition. if I have a knife and a gun and something's laying on the ground, I'm
stabbing
it. Yeah, like I'm not going to shoot it. It's almost like I don't know if it's zombie specific, but like anytime you see Resident Evil, Walking Dead, you conserve what you got.
Yeah.
You don't learn that in action games or Call of Duty. I was mentioning that earlier. I played Black Ops not too long ago, and there's a damn ammo crate every room you go into, and you're shooting off like 1,500 rounds, literally 1,500 rounds, and it's like, what the fuck?
And with Resident Evil, we're talking about a game, you find one magazine of ammo with 15 rounds. It takes 8 to 10 rounds to put one zombie down.
Yeah, so it really helped me out like in the future and going forward, especially in games like Fallout, dude. Like it's very similar where you don't like, let's say you get a good gun, cool. I don't have any damn ammunition for this gun, right? So when you get it, you want to save it, unless you want to just cheat. But if you just play games regularly, I think that I think that's where all my skill came from was from playing this game. So I guess just to wrap it up, that pretty much covers everything, doesn't it?
Well, the rest of the story. So the tyrant breaks through, then Brad Vickers kicks out the 4 dual rocket launcher. Like what is it? It's in Commando, the same one that Arnold's.
I gotta say this though. This guy's such a pussy, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're
takes
Jill,
off in the beginning. Dogs are chasing you.
Think about this. Let's say you're Jill. So he's looking down there at this girl fighting this tyrant. Does he put the helicopter
fighting
down?
This insane monster? Because he hasn't seen any of this shit in the mansion.
Yeah,
he doesn't know what happened.
He's got the nerve, I'll say it this way, to just throw a rocket launcher out the side of the helicopter and be like,
"Hey, use this."
That's so funny, dude.
How did he get it out the door? How did he kick that out while piloting? That's what I'm wondering.
Knowing this guy, he probably just let go of the controls and walked to the back.
Oh, yeah.
So stupid. So I would have beat his ass. That would have been the first thing I did. Huh? Yeah, he does. But I really would have laid it into him. He would have had a couple of black eyes by the time I was done with him. Because that's the shittiest thing in the world to do. I might have killed him. I might have killed him. Think about it, dude. Shit. Think about what you just went through. All the stuff we described in the show, right? And then it all happened because your buddy Brad decided to take off
and circle around the
mansion for God knows how long, 4 hours, whatever. What a bastard!
All night.
What a bastard!
They get there like 10 p.m. They're there till 5 in the fucking morning.
Yeah, come on. I'm sorry. He just really irritates me.
Yeah. So you blow up the tyrant, it explodes, and chunks of meat go everywhere. Brad picks you up. It goes into another full motion video of Chris and Jill like all tired, depending on Jill can die, Chris can die, like they can die, Barry can die, but through canon Rebecca lives, Chris lives, Jill lives, and Barry lives.
Basically everybody but Wesker, right?
And all the rest of Bravo team.
Yeah, Rebecca. Bravo team, yeah.
They're all dead. And then they take off, and then there's 2 different endings there. There's the self-destruct sequence. The mansion blows up in a hail of nuclear fire. But if you don't blow the mansion up, you see the tyrant is still alive. And you see his hand, and then the game ends and goes to credits.
I'm getting angry now because I didn't know about that either.
You didn't know about that?
No, I thought it always blew up. The canon is it blows up.
Yeah, canon is that it blows up. Mansion is that it blows up. Tyrant is destroyed. All of Umbrella's like records and data.
I'm gonna say something that might sound like condescending, but I don't mean it to be.
What?
But just for people who don't know, canon essentially means like what actually happened, what the story
in
considers.
Fictional stories.
Yeah, in fictional stories, canon
absolutely
means
nothing in real life, and we obsess over it too much.
Yeah, it's specifically for people like us who are real big fans of something, and we really want to know what happened, what actually happened.
That's what really happened.
Yeah, that's what canon.
What's official?
What's official? You heard about the whole Star Wars thing, didn't you? I don't want to go off topic too bad, but they basically said all the
extended universe is non-existent.
So that's just a mention of it in actual media where they said that all that stuff is basically garbage. That sucks. But that's pretty much Resident Evil, at least the first one, right?
Yeah, and then so you want to go over the remake a little bit?
I mean, it's
make some comparisons. Say what was different.
You know the remake better than I do, though.
Huh? Oh yeah. Okay. So in 2002, they remade the Resident Evil from '96 onto the Nintendo GameCube. Beautiful graphics. Like I gush over the 2D backgrounds in the original. The ones in the remake are jaw dropping, even to this standards today. If you need a cathode tube television to really get the feel of it. HD TV doesn't do the GameCube justice. It looks like complete shit.
Really?
Oh yeah. But yeah, it's terrible. Have you like we could actually
the remake sucks on your TV?
The GameCube remake. We should plug it in after. I'll show you. It's
we'll
garbage.
That sucks.
But last year I think we mentioned they re-released the remake on the current gen systems of 2015: PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox 360, Xbox One.
Okay,
and
so
PC.
you're telling me that the original version of yours, like your GameCube,
the GameCube
sucks.
version and what it looks like on an HD TV.
Okay,
yeah,
I thought you were
1080p,
telling
yeah.
me. I thought you were telling me what they have available for people on.
Oh no! Well,
garbage.
it's so but remember that game was made for CRT,
yeah,
television. So we're talking about a different aspect ratio. It's more square ratio, television ratio, and so with the widescreens, to widescreen it up, they have to zoom in, and it kind of makes it.
Oh, that
shitty.
sucks, dude.
But you can also maintain the classic aspect ratio of the square, but it leaves big square on the render screen.
So it's basically it's not formatted for it.
It's not formatted for your television screen.
That's a shame.
They couldn't do anything as part of the programming. Like
Yeah.
they would have had to go back and actually remake it again. Which I don't blame them for not.
Yeah.
It's a shame, but whatever. It's a lot of like cosmetic changes. The character models look a lot better. The game's beautiful. There's not many games nowadays that look even as good.
I don't know what the hell the deal is, dude. I think they just went like hard.
Well, it's the fact that it's the 2D pre-rendered. Nobody's done 2D
Still,
pre-rendered.
even with the remake, was 2D pre-rendered?
The backgrounds were 2D pre-rendered.
Yeah, okay, but
And that's why it looks amazing.
Yeah,
Nobody
that's
does
crazy.
that. Nobody has done that since then. I mean,
y'all need to there's got to be a YouTube a comparison video. Like, go on there and check those out. Like, it's
The remake to the original?
It's insane. Dude.
It's absolutely insane. And it kind of sucks that the new HD remaster still they changed some stuff. Some things couldn't transfer well, so they like polygoned it up, and you can tell. And I don't like that.
Oh.
I prefer the 2D because it looks. I believe Capcom referred to them as like living backgrounds. It has a glow to it. The candles had a glow to them, and
you can see let's put it to you this way: in the remake, you can see like curtains blowing because there's windows left open, like that kind of deal.
You can almost smell the summer air.
Yeah,
it's from every room, and it's recreation. They expanded it a little bit. They added another boss. So she was Lisa Trevor, is the daughter of the person who made the mansion. That's a lot of fun to the game, I find.
That's a horrible story.
Yeah,
like, that's a wretched story.
You feel bad. Actually, the story gets a lot better. The voice acting gets considerably better. Still not all that great. It's not up to the standards of like Metal Gear Solid, but it's pretty much the same game. It's just I would suggest it to anybody that hasn't played.
If you're interested in playing, you're definitely going to want to play the
2002 remake.
Yeah, the 2002 remake.
If you have a GameCube, you can pick it up, or if you have a current gen, you can download it from their online stores, PlayStation Network, Xbox Live Arcade.
Yeah.
PC, you can probably get off of Steam or something, right? That would make sense.
I don't know.
Really
I've
know.
never checked. I would imagine so. I think I've seen it on there. I can't say for certain.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's something that we definitely recommend because of the connection. We have. And not only that, it's a good game. I mean,
it's a really good game. Whereas the original, I can see people not wanting to play it.
Yeah.
It's like it's like where people can't stand black and white.
Let's put it to you this way. I think we enjoy the original so much because of the personal connection.
Yeah.
But if you don't have it, like if I just picked that game up, I would be like, what the fuck? I'm talking about the original.
Yeah, that's right. I'm saying go to the remake. Don't play the original.
Yeah, the original is something that, like, if you're interested in playing, you can still enjoy the heck out of and not have to, go through the pain of looking.
They added little side weapons, like there's daggers and flash grenades.
Yeah.
It's like they're defensive weapons. Makes the game more fun. Adds another challenge to it. Oh, and then also the biggest thing they added is
the burning.
Yeah. Basically, what happens is when you kill a zombie, if you don't decapitate it, at some point later in that game, it becomes a more powerful zombie known as a Crimson Head. It moves faster, it has long nails, does more damage, it's harder to kill. So they introduce in the remake kerosene and you have to carry. It's one more item to
thing you have to
carry
carry around.
And go to the bodies and burn them. And if you're smart, you can stack the bodies, and also blowing the heads off by tilting the shotgun
And
up.
what he means by stack is he means essentially baiting another enemy,
making the enemies die on top of each other.
Yeah, on the other ones, and then lighting them together.
You can't drag them or anything.
Right. That's what I wanted to be clear on.
So you really have to know your gameplay of what gun is going to kill him fast. You know, with Chris, that's why I always play Chris too, because he's the team's quote unquote marksman.
Who drops his gun?
Who drops his gun? Great. I think it's like every 15 shots or something is a super shot, and his handgun will do.
I remember that. Yeah, it would explode the zombie's head.
Too.
Yeah,
and that's like when you start playing the game on that. That's when you know you've played the game too much.
When you're waiting for that shot.
When you're going like, all right, this next zombie he's going to die from a decap. And you know it.
I know it.
You play too much of that fucking game. That's, definitely the last time I played through the remake, that's what it was. But it's all the same bosses. It just looks better. They expand on the mansion. And they're planning on... So there's sequels, like we said, for Resident Evil. They're planning to remake Resident Evil 2 finally. I believe that the fans have been clamoring for it for years.
You know what sucks? I remember sitting there in 2002 and thinking like, damn, I can't wait till they remake Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
Here we sit, 2016, and they still haven't done it.
They still haven't done it. It's not going to come out
That's
until at least
14 years, dude.
Yeah, they haven't said much about it. I will, if the same thing, if they don't do the pre-rendered style, the slow style, and they like try to like make it actiony like 4, 5, and 6, I won't play it.
That's actually another debate that we want to have with you guys. I mean, I don't want to have it, but I'm interested in your
opinions.
Side. Yeah, we were talking about it earlier. I personally don't like. I don't want to say I don't like, but I would prefer that the series had stayed the way it is.
1, 2, 3, Code
1, 2, 3,
Veronica.
Code Veronica, survival horror. They switched it over to this action style in Resident Evil 4, third person, run and gun kind of thing.
Very much what every game is now.
Yeah, and especially with 5 and 6, they really changed it up. It doesn't even feel like the same game, so it really pissed me the hell off.
It feels like it's super actiony.
Yes, it's just
shooter.
Right. All that stuff where you have to look. There's literally vendors, in some of these games that are selling you weapons.
4 is fun though. I will say that it's just not a Resident Evil game.
Yeah, well, that's my whole argument. So I'm curious if anybody who's listening as a fan disagrees.
Do you prefer 4 or 5?
Yeah, do you prefer it? Do you think it was a good switch? What is your opinion? That's what I'm looking for. If you want to let us know, you can do that on that email I mentioned earlier.
If you tell me you like 6, though, you're full of shit. That game is garbage.
I mean, dude, I played 6, and I'll just say this: it felt like a crappier version of 5.
Yes, they took all the things that were really fun in 5 with like the weapon upgrade system that they had kind of introduced in 4, and all the weapons. There's so many weapons, and every time you go into a mission, you can choose your loadout, and they took that all away. Each character only had his shotgun that I believe you could upgrade, but you couldn't use the other shotguns.
I only played through it once, so I don't remember.
I don't even know why I played through it. Revelations is a better game. When we're done with this, I should show you Revelations. I've got the first Revelations game. You'd enjoy it.
Maybe we could do like a smaller, like a mini episode on that then.
Yeah, let's do that.
Because that would be a good attachment.
Yeah. Look out for that.
Yeah, we'll have to record that.
The audience.
I'll just ask you. We ready to close this thing down?
Yeah, I think we're ready to close it up now.
I was trying to do it to him with hand gestures, but then I was like,
I think I'm done. I mean, we'll always come back to Resident Evil. It's such a monumental game. Spawned 10,000 shitty sequels. I
can spend an afternoon and then the morning and then the next afternoon talking about Resident Evil. It's never going to stop. No. It's one of my biggest
it's good that we do the first episode like this because we're probably going to mention the game a lot.
I feel
whenever we talk.
Yeah. You're going to hear it dropped all the time, particularly Wesker because I have like a man obsession with him for some reason. I don't know why. To be elaborated on later. Yeah. Anyway, please, if you guys want to do that stuff, if you want to give us your opinion, email us at poweronpod@gmail.com. I want to incorporate listener emails into the show. I love it. That'd be fun. I love it when podcasts do that. because I think it helps us grow as a show. If you have opinions on the show, if you want to, even if you want to talk shit, like if you just want to say we're garbage and you didn't like the show, I want to hear that.
Yeah.
Because if you don't get any criticism, then how are we supposed to improve?
Exactly.
Okay, so you can do that at poweronpod@gmail.com. We have a Twitter and a Facebook. The Twitter is at PowerOnPod, and the Facebook is PowerOn Podcast. I'll probably change that to pod later on so that people can find it easier. But I got so excited about making the show, I just started cranking stuff out and making different names. So I didn't have that much continuity with it. If you want to follow me personally for whatever reason, you can do that at Dashing Drew Rude. It's my handle on Twitter. Chad has one, but he's made it pretty clear to me that he doesn't give a fuck about Twitter.
Yeah, I thought Twitter was dead already.
Nah, dude.
Andrew finally got me to sign up to it, and the death rattle of Twitter, I suppose.
It's not the death rattle. Dude.
You can find me at Cathode Vision or Visions. I don't even know. See, that's how much I don't use it. Never done anything.
I'll be on there. I'll be on the Facebook posting a lot. I'll be on Twitter posting a lot, mainly because I work at a job that I'm not going to say that. We're going to edit that out. We're going to edit this out. We're going to have to cut this out. Basically, I have a lot of time, so I can look stuff up. If you feel like there was an edit in this show, there was, but we're not going to talk about why it was edited. Long story short, I'm on our Facebook and Twitter all the time, so I'll be able to read this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, everyone we have smartphones. We can see this stuff pretty easily.
Yeah,
we'll try to respond within a.
And last thing I have to mention, we are going to do mini episodes. We're still trying to figure out this whole podcast thing.
I'd love to do books. There's some great books where I would love to do mini episodes about that I've read.
Yeah, the show's anything pop culture, right?
Video games, comics, even music. Maybe we'll talk about a certain band's greatest albums.
Yeah, top 10 lists. Stuff coming. Well, we're gonna make in addition to the regular show, we're gonna make these mini episodes, and the reason we're doing that is, like we said before, this whole show.
We want to have fun with it.
Yeah.
That's all this is about. We're fucking poor.
Right. The whole show is a grassroots thing.
Yeah.
We just one day decided to go out and buy a shit ton of audio equipment to make a show. So
plug Patreon?
Yeah, that's exactly what I want to talk about. We have, I don't know if you call it an account. It's just a page. It's a page on Patreon.
Is that what it is? Just
it's kind of weird. I found out about Patreon through another podcaster who was using it. And it's essentially a website to support artists. So if you want to help us out in getting better audio equipment, there's
some goals.
Overhauling. I've got goals on there. Upgrading the website. We want to eventually expand this into other things, maybe a YouTube channel. Who knows?
To do that.
Who knows? But if you want to support us, if you like the show, if you actually enjoyed listen to us talk about
stupid video game from 20 years ago.
Yeah, you can do it on Patreon. You just look up PowerOn. I think PowerOn or PowerOn Podcast. It's going to pop up if you type those words in there. Nobody else is on there.
Yeah.
The mini episodes is a bonus you get for doing that, for being a supporter.
Okay.
There's other things listed on there, but I don't want to go through it. It'd be pretty boring. But that's one thing I did want to mention because it is key, and we will be posting those. But those are going to be posted on Patreon. They're not going to be posted on the iTunes feed. So if you want to find those, you got to go to a Patreon to get those. So I think that's pretty much it, dude.
I think we're gonna wrap it up.
All right.
Thanks for anybody that actually sat here for a good almost hour and a half and listened to us talk about stupid.
If anybody's still there, we
could be talking about the world disorder and whatnot, and we're over here talking about Resident Evil.
I do want to say, if you have show ideas or there's something you want to hear us go on about, email it to us. Well, if we haven't seen it, I'd love to watch it and then talk about it. If not, or if we have seen it, we'll talk about it anyway. We don't care.
Yeah.
So, just let us know. And I guess we'll catch y'all next time, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Thank you.
Come back.
Good night.
Bye.